This video will look at some of the key features for Google Meet. So starting here in your Google Classroom, take a look to see if the actual link is visible to students. If not, you can always go to the three dots, manage this, and make that visible or not visible for students. Just very quickly, this link here allows you to reset this link. Now, what I would say is be careful about that because there are a lot of students, especially people using iPads, who on an iPad, it uses the Google Meet application, which means that they often have a list of Google Meet meetings and the ability to just rejoin them. So bear that in mind if you are going to change this link, just to let them know, or be careful not to change that link as well. Let's join this link and let's have a look. And what we'll see is that no one else is on the call, but if students were on the call, they would be placed into a waiting room until you start the call. This video doesn't look at the background effects and features, but if you have any questions about that, there is a guide that you can have a look at as well in terms of settings. Just I would recommend checking your sound and your video settings before you join. Before we have any students joining, let's have a quick look at some of the host controls. On the side here, you have some host management controls. So sharing your screen, so let contributors, which is students, share their screen. If you don't want them to be able to share their screen, please turn this off. Send reactions, this is the emoji reactions. If you turn this off for students, it will also turn off for you as well. So you won't be able to send emoji reactions unless you turn that on. Here, very important to have this turned on. This means that they can turn their video on and their microphone. So if you turn this off, they just won't be able to turn their microphone. It will not work for them. Everything else on here should be left as it is. So once the students have joined, you might have a few problems with their microphone. If their microphones are on, you can mute them by going to the people section and then clicking on this mute button. You also have the ability to mute everyone using the one button at the top. Students will not have the all mute button, but they will have the add people button. If they click on this and decide to invite someone outside of your classroom, they will receive an invite. If a student outside your classroom does use the invite, you will have someone wants to join the call. Now, at this point, you can admit, but if you have this on your Google Classroom, Google Meet, it's most likely someone who is outside of your classroom and therefore you should not admit. Okay, now we have students join. We can look at some other features. So we've got share our screen. So share the tab and then share. If you're going to add any audio, so if there's going to be a video and you want that to play within your slides, and make sure you turn this audio tab on and then press share. And then once here, you can see that you've got the ability to use your start slideshow, which puts it into presentation mode, and then you can go back and forth and control everything from here, which means you don't need two screens in order to do this. If you wanted to, you could also enable the annotate application. If you have that, that's another video altogether, but you can use this one to annotate on your slides if you wanted to as well, and they will see everything. So we're going to stop sharing for a second and have a look at some of the tools you have in Google Meet. So you'll see that there's a few things, but we're going to focus on breakout rooms. So the key thing about breakout rooms is that once you set them up, you should look at the timer, because the timer will automatically show them how long they've got and also prompt them back out of the room for you as well. You can shuffle them, so that means place them in any order that you want. So you clear and then shuffle, and it will place them in any order. You can also pick and drag and place them into a breakout room. You can even rename the breakout room if you want to put them into different groups as well. Once you've done that, you will say open rooms, and then the students will get a prompt to say join that breakout room and join. So what might happen now is you'll see green dots. If they're yellow dots, that means they haven't joined the actual breakout room yet. Now, what can happen is that when they get into that meeting room, that breakout room, they will have a code on the bottom left-hand side. Like you can see the meeting call on this screen. They will have a different meeting code. That code, they can copy that or they can share that with someone else within the classroom. And that means that that different person can come and join that breakout room. So they are not able to share that with someone outside that classroom. If they shared it with someone outside the classroom, it would just say, you cannot join this. You have to go through the main call. So don't worry about it being shared with people outside your classroom. However, if they do share this with someone in your classroom already, you will know this very, very quickly because their color will go from green to red. So from that, what you can see is this, that the student now has gone from green to red, which means that they are in multiple rooms. So if you see a red dot, that means that that student has now tried to be in a different room. What the student gets is join a breakout room. So it tells them that they need to go and return back to the main call. Now, what can happen is that pop-up does display and students can see that, but they can still talk to the people in that room and the people can hear them still. So if that happens, you need to go and you need to join that room. And once you're in that room, then you can then speak to those people and let them know that they shouldn't be in that room if they're in that room already. And then you can just simply leave that room or end the room for them. Likewise, you can also remove them from the room. So you can edit rooms and you can remove that person from that room altogether and then place them in a different room if they need to be. So throughout this process, when they're in the breakout rooms, you should be joining their breakout rooms. Now, what students can also do is they can ask for help. So there is a button at the top of their screen that says return to main call or ask for help. And it will look like this. And you'll be prompted with a message that says so-and-so needs help. So if you say later, then the student will not know if you say later, by the way. They can also cancel their help as well. But if you join now, so join, it'll take them to that room and then you can support that student. Once you're done, you can also then close rooms. So you can close a room and then close all rooms, or the rooms will end in 30 seconds. So everyone will return to the room in 30 seconds, close all rooms. And then if you don't want to wait the 30 seconds, they'll get a prompt to say return to the call with the next 30 seconds. You can just say close rooms and then close all rooms now. And it will then push everyone through back into the call without the 30 seconds. So another feature that you have is polls, and you can set up your polls as a draft. So I've set this up previously, and you can go back and you can edit if you want to and add more options if you want to as well. And as soon as you're ready, you can then launch, and that gets sent to the students who get a message to say a new poll has been launched. They click on that and then they can then vote. It's a bit different for students with iPads. They'll have to go to the three dots. So if any students with iPads say, I can't see the polls, just go to the three dots, pick on activities, and then there'll be an activity that says polls, and then they can then vote for their favorite color. But they must press the color and then vote. You'll see the results straight away. If you want students to see it, you can then share the results, and then they will then have the final results as well. Once it's done, just simply end the poll. I will say that once you end the poll, you cannot edit or get them to revote again. You can only just delete, and then that will be gone for everyone. Another tool that you've got is the Q&A. Now, this is a bit different from the chat function because the chat function is almost like a conversation with an instant response and instant need. You can set this up and you can turn on Q&A whenever you want. If you don't turn it on, then they can't see it or they can't ask questions. Q&A, you can add and filter questions, unanswered and answered and hidden questions, and go from oldest questions to like newest questions first. So you can ask a question. Now, when you ask that question, you can post it anonymously or just post it. And what the students will then see when they go to their Q&A, they'll get the same pop-up that says there's a question in the Q&A. And they can then, for example, if they like that or upvote that question, that means, yeah, actually, I wanted to ask that question as well. So I'm going to thumbs up. So you'll be able to see there's There's lots of them there. So if lots of questions are asked, this stops the situation that can happen where maybe you're presenting and they've got questions and they don't want to forget those questions, so they can put them there and then you can address them, and then other students can ask those questions as well, or just thumbs up to say, yeah, that's a question that I want to know as well, for example, and then you can then filter and answer those questions. Now, once you've done that, you can either mark as hidden if you don't want everyone else to see that question, or you can say, yep, I've answered it verbally. So there isn't a way for you to answer it like typed, but you can say, I've answered it verbally. So that doesn't delete it. It just says, I've answered it. So then you can go through this and look at the answered questions and then unanswered questions as well when they come up. Lastly, a very simple tool that you can use is the timer. The timer you can just go to, set some minutes or seconds, press start, and then the students will see exactly what you can see, which is the timer up here. You can add 1 minute increments to the timer without stopping it. You cannot take away the time, unfortunately, but you can pause or cancel the alarm. And then this disconnects the actual alarm sound so that there is no sort of big sound at the end. Now, it's quite important to end the meet correctly. Now, here's the right way to do it. If you press leave call, you'll be given these two options. Just leave the call and end the call for everyone. If you just leave the call, this will not remove the students from the meet, and they will be able to do two things. One, talk to each other still without you being there, and two, rejoin that meet at a later date as well before you enter. So I would always say you have to do end the call for everyone as a precaution, and that will make sure everyone leaves. And if they try to rejoin, then this will stop them and put them in a waiting room.